Okay, today we're going to go over some practice problems on metric conversions. Let's start with some simple ones here. Let's go 5,500 grams to kilograms. So if you remember in our previous lectures we talked about following those steps. We're going to start with what do we know? So in this case, the 5,500 grams. We're going to set our problem up just like we always do. And then from there, we want to get rid of the grams, so we put the grams on bottom, and we can go straight to kilograms. Which one is bigger? Well, the kilogram is bigger, so it gets the 1. That prefix kilo means 1,000. So now I can cancel these, and I'm left with kilograms, which is what I wanted to do. So my answer is going to be in kilograms. Now, I take whatever's on top, so 5,500 times 1, divide it by 1,000. When I do that, it's going to give me 5.5 kilograms. Okay. Now let's go 9,000 liters to milliliters. So we're going to start this off the same way. Set our problem up, 9,000 liters times our conversion factor. We're trying to get rid of liters, so that's what goes on bottom. We're going to milliliters, and we can do that in one jump. So now I can cancel the liters. Liters gets the 1 because it's bigger. Prefix milli means 1,000. So now I take 9,000 times 1,000. It's going to give me my answer in milliliters. 9,000 times 1,000. Now let's get a little more complicated. 2,830 centigrams, and we want to convert that into kilograms. So we're going to start these problems the same way, but there's going to be an extra step because that centigram to kilogram jump is a little bit tougher. So we're going to start with what we know. We were given this. Set our problem up. We're going to put centigrams here, but that's too big of a jump because remember centigram is a part of a gram and kilogram is 1,000 grams. So let's jump to the base unit and then go from there. So we're going to add another step. Same process. Now I've got grams, I can put grams here, and my kilograms up here. So which one of these is bigger, a gram or a centigram? A gram is bigger. Centi, remember there's 100 cents in a dollar, so there's 100 centigrams in 1 gram. Over here, a kilogram is bigger. There's 1,000 grams in a kilogram. Now we can cancel. We're left with kilograms. So now we do everything on top, so 2,830 times 1 times 1, divide by what's on bottom, 100 times 1,000, which would give us 1,000. And then we do our math, and I don't have a calculator here, but you can see how to set that up at least. Next, let's get a little bit more complicated. Let's do some mixed units. So if we're going to go 10.7, let's say yards, and we want to convert that to meters. Because remember, a yardstick and a meter stick are not the same. We do have to know what the conversion factor is for yards to meters or meters to yards. If you look at that conversion sheet that I gave you in the very beginning of the year when we first started talking about this, you will see that 1 yard is equal to 0.9144 meters. So we're going to need that. Now, this was just jumping around between the metric system. This one we're actually going to have to do that conversion. So this is why we learn the process. So if we start with 10.7 yards, we're going to set the problem up just like we've done in the past. We want to get rid of yards. We can go there. We know we can go from yards to meters. Now, which one of those is bigger? It really doesn't work the same as when we do the metric system jumps, but here it gives us this conversion factor of 1 yard equals. So you're simply plugging this in. You're matching these labels up. 09144. Now we can cancel this, we're left with meters, and we do our math. So 10.7, and I'm going to plug that in on my calculator, times 0.9144, and it gives me 9.78. And we could go ahead and round that on out for 1. We can do that because when we start talking next week about significant figures, we'll learn about the 9144 there. And our answer is in meters. So there's that one. Now let's go centimeters to inches. A lot of times when you go to the doctor, they measure you in centimeters and you want to know how many inches that is. We're going to set this problem up the exact same way that we've been doing. 180 centimeters times centimeters on bottom, so it'll cancel, inches on top. That conversion factor that we looked up, 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. Okay, so 1 inch, 2.54 centimeters. Cancel that, we're left with this, which is what we wanted to do up here. So we know we're on the right track. So now you take everything on top. So 180 times 1 is 180. Divide by 2.54. What's on bottom? So it's just basic math. Top divided by bottom. And that gives us 70.8666. And we can round that inches. And that's what we were going for. So that's how we come up with that. Now the last thing I'm going to show you is probably the most complex thing that we're going to do in this beginning chapter. We're going to convert from a mixed unit, like meters per second. We're going to go from meters per second to miles per hour. So let's say we were traveling, let's say 24 meters per second. It's really fast. And we want to know how fast that is in miles per hour, because we're weird Americans and we like to do everything miles per hour. A lot of times, like in a car, you see it mph. So we're actually going to set this up the same way. But the difference is that meters per second is really 24 meters over 1 second. So we're going to set our problem up and we're going to work with one element at a time. Let's start with the meters. So I want to get rid of meters, so I'm going to put it down here. And then I can't go straight from meters to miles, but I can go from meters to kilometers, and then kilometers to miles. Okay? Then to get rid of that seconds, way back here, we're going to come back to that. So there's going to be more to this problem over here. So now we can come through, and what's bigger, a kilometer or a meter? Kilometer is definitely bigger. Prefix kilo means 1,000, so that plugs into the blank hole. Then we have the miles and kilometers. That one we're going to have to look up. We have to look up and see what it is. On our handy dandy reference chart, it tells us that there is 0.6214 miles for every 1 kilometer. And that's as far as we can go there. So now we can come back here to this second. Now it works the same way. We're trying to go from seconds to hours. That's a really big jump, so let's make it a little more manageable. Let's go seconds. We put it on top so that those two things will cancel out. To minutes. And then we can go minutes to hours. And our hours is on bottom where we want it. So now we can come through and we can cancel this and this. Kilometers, kilometers, miles. Come back here, seconds cancels with this. And this, oh, I guess we skipped that one. 1 minute. There's 60 seconds for every minute. Hopefully you know that. 60 minutes for every 1 hour. It shouldn't be something you have to look up. Minutes, cancel, we're left with hours. So miles per hour. Now all that's left to do is the math part. So you take everything on this top line, divide by everything on this bottom line. So I've got 24 times 1, which we know is the same, times 0.6214 times 60 times 60 equals. And then the only thing I've got on the bottom is that 1,000. So 1,000 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1,000. I'm going to hit divide by 1,000 equals 53.68. We'll round that up. 9. I don't have room there. Miles per hour. So that's how we do those big problems. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is this kind of helper chart. So hopefully you can see here the symbols that we use, the prefixes, and the relation to that base unit, and then the value. So a lot of times that value gets confusing. Notice when we did any of those practice problems, never once did we put a fraction or a decimal point into our problem. It was always whole numbers. It was 1 or 10 or 100 or 1,000. Okay? These numbers right here, this is what you're looking for when you plug in those conversions.